So this was inevitable, Sammy. You knew the moment Caleb Williams started having success that everybody was going to come out and be like, "Oh, it's all Ben Johnson. It's all assistant. Like he's now going to be a system quarterback." I think, which is fine. I really don't care. None of that bothers me because if Caleb Williams is going to go out there and be successful, and he's going to win Player of the Week honors or do anything like that, and actually win Player of the Week honors. He just didn't have one great quarter at the end of the Monday night game. Like he played a full game and actually went out there and earned Player of the Week honors. I think that, and again, I alluded to this on Sunday, is like, what is going to be the pivot from people who have an interest in seeing Caleb Williams not succeed? Like, what is it going to be? What are we going after? Oh, it's a system now. It's Ben Johnson. There are some prominent people in the media who are talking about the fact that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are never going to mix. He's not good for his system. It's not going to work. It's like oil and I think somebody literally called it like oil and water. It's not going to work. And now all of a sudden it's all the coaching. It's all, and you know what? Honestly, who cares? I don't care who it is. I honestly could care less who is responsible. The only thing that I want to do is go out there and continue to stack wins and stack great performances and get the Bears back to the playoffs and beyond. That's the most important thing to me. And it feels like the Bears are moving in that direction. And we will be talking about that and so much more. So, Sammy, let's just go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
It is Wednesday. You know what that means? It is time for Take It to the Rank. A great night to be talking about the Chicago Bears. So much good stuff going on right now. We've got the Tape Never Lies Network coming up in about an hour and a half. Big Brother is rolling on. The Challenge. I've been more into Big Brother than the Challenge over the last couple of weeks or months. So that's actually put me behind the eight ball. We have AEW tonight. And also, for those of you who have asked, I know a couple of people reached out. They're like, is your voice cool? Let me tell you, on Sunday, my English Premier League team is Arsenal. They scored a late equalizer, which started me down the road to ruin with my voice. So you had a late equalizer from Arsenal. Then we had everything that was going on with the Chicago Bears. We were gathered, watching the game per usual. And we had a good time. I have not been able to recover. I still coach soccer. I still do a lot. This might be it for the rest of the year. Unless after Saturday's soccer games, I can lock myself into isolation. This just might be my voice for the entirety of the year. So I hope you get used to it. But here to help me out and do some of the heavy lifting today from CHGO, my guy, Greg Braggs, who is here to celebrate and look forward to Las Vegas. And Greg, how are you living right now?
Living good. Yep. We're final countdown for the pillage of Las Vegas, Sin City. You know, Chicago Bears fans are going to take that city over. It starts Friday night for me and the CHGO Bears crew and fans, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend.
When do you fly out? When are you flying out there?
Like middle afternoon. I think I'll get into Vegas about 4 or 5 o'clock.
On Friday or Thursday?
Friday.
Okay. So you go out there, you work. Oh yeah. You actually gain a couple of hours flying out there. So that's going to be pretty nice. It is going to be a fun time. And one of the things that you think about, obviously the matchup against the Raiders is going to be interesting. Max Crosby is there. Pete Carroll is trying to get his program going. And obviously with Caleb Williams coming off the Player of the Week honors, I think there's a lot of trepidation because we've seen what happened to some of the other quarterbacks who have won Player of the Week. Actually, Jared Goff did very well. But JJ McCarthy did not. Talking about the Player of the Week, they asked Ben Johnson about it during his press briefing today. Sammy, let's listen to what Ben Johnson said about Caleb and his mindset after winning Player of the Week honors.
kudos to him. You know, he won Offensive Player of the Week there for the NFC, and he came in today and completely unfazed by it. You know, I tried to recognize him in front of the group, and he wasn't having it. You know, it's very stoic, and he's already on to the next game. He knows he needs to have an even better performance here this week to give us the best chance to win.
Well, Kyler,
what are your thoughts when you hear that? I really appreciate that, and I think it's indicative, or I think it's consistent with what we've seen out of Caleb before, even going back to his time at Oklahoma at USC. What were your thoughts when you heard Ben Johnson talking about Caleb's non-reaction to winning the award?
Well, I think he's just taking on the identity of his head coach. I think that's what you're seeing here is a guy in Caleb Williams that has been waiting for a coach like Ben Johnson to come into play, especially here at the NFL level. And now he's got it, and now he's mirroring the way that Ben Johnson operates. If you go and watch any broadcast of any Bears game, every time they pan to Ben Johnson on the sidelines, he's like RoboCop. He's unfazed. Go watch the Luther Burden flea flicker play. There's a moment where they capture the sideline.
And they look at him, and then they're like, you know, he doesn't change his expression. He just goes out there, and he's just, you know, I don't want to say Bud Grant-esque, because I don't think there's a lot of you listening to this show right now who even know who Bud Grant is, but it is one of those things that you love to see, a little bit red-assed, and so I love it. So I just imagined what you were saying, and it just kept rolling.
No, I appreciate the pick-me-up. I don't know really what happened there. I got kicked out, but yeah, kicked out the club. Hopefully that doesn't happen in Vegas. But once again, just he's RoboCop, Ben Johnson, and I think that's what you're seeing with Caleb Williams is a guy that's trying to take on that same identity. And, you know, Ben's not ever satisfied. And hopefully that's the kind of attitude that Caleb takes here going forward. It's, you know, to be great, to be a champion, you know, there's a sacrifice that has to be made. And sometimes that's not settling for what you've done and looking forward to what you need to do. And I think that's the kind of attitude that Ben Johnson has. Hey, the guy over my shoulder here, Michael Jordan, that's the kind of attitude he had. You know, Kobe Bryant, the greats, Tom Brady. I mean, those guys, they didn't settle for, you know, good enough. They needed to be great. And in order to do that, sometimes you gotta have a little red ass when it comes to, you know, your pursuit for that greatness. And that's not for everybody. Because, you know, there's just some people that, you know, hey, you gotta enjoy the moment. You gotta celebrate the small wins. You know, to be wired a certain way, it takes a certain level of sacrifice of happiness in your life. And so he's not celebrating this. So be it. I think his teammates will probably appreciate the focus. He was asked if he went to Weiner Circle yesterday, and he said he thought about it, but he had the Raiders to focus on. Look at this. This is what we're talking about. And then when you also go into the fact that Ben Johnson's attention to detail, how much he's been trying to get Caleb Williams dialed into the work between the weeks. Caleb Williams talked today about how he feels more comfortable on Wednesdays than he did last year. Well, I think that's also taking on the identity of your head coach, where at the end of this last season, Ryan Poles needs to learn how to be a pro. And now you're seeing a quarterback that is dialed into the details, a good student of the game, and embracing the coaching coming from Ben Johnson.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you absolutely want from your coach is focusing in on the small details. I heard a great analogy today. Somebody was describing this. They were, forget who they were referencing, but a lot of times, and I'm going through the golf tech lessons right now and doing all that stuff. And one of the things that they're working on, it's the small things like footwork, making sure that your sternum's pointed to 1 o'clock and you're getting your turns down. And then after that point, they really don't care. Because at first they were like, get your hands up, do this, do that. But now they're just like, hey, as long as your feet are here, your shoulders are here, you're making your turns, you're able to do it. And I think a lot of Caleb's problems were getting his feet correct. And I think that has been one of the biggest differences. And we saw it in the flea flicker, where even though Caleb had to rush the throw because DeAndre Swift was lobbing it. I don't know if he was going for an alley-oop or what he was playing slow pitch softball or what he was doing, but Caleb was still able to set his feet and unfurl a 65-yard pass that ultimately results in a touchdown. And it's those small things that are starting to pay off in a big way. What do you say though? Because like now I talked about this in the cold open, that all the haters' new playbook is like, well, it's all Ben Johnson. Do you clearly give a bleep whether who gets the credit? And I feel like with the players and the coach, neither one of them cares who gets the credit. What do you say to all those charges that people are still trying to minimize what Caleb's been able to do?
No, I don't. It's going to be funny because you're only going to be able to say that for so long.
Yeah.
Any great quarterback head coach duo is going to both have to share the credit and the blame, whichever way it goes, and so I don't necessarily care for that. We talked earlier this offseason, it was cool enough to be able to have an opportunity to talk with David Carr, right? And I think he was who you referenced with the oil and water that they may not be a great fit. I'd definitely be curious to hear David's perspective here on these first 3 games, because I think there was some fair questions. Is this the right system for Caleb Williams? Because he in college was predominantly a shotgun quarterback, as most college quarterbacks are. Last year, he wasn't. I read a nice post on Reddit that pointed out that last year Caleb Williams only was in under center 14% of his snaps. Now this year, it's almost a 50-50 split, but he's 6 of his 7 touchdowns this season, Caleb Williams, is from under center. And in this Reddit post, guess how many snaps in under center Caleb Williams had in college?
0.
7. So 7 snaps under center in college, and yet this year 6 of his 7 touchdowns are under center. So while there was fair questions of whether or not Caleb Williams could adapt to becoming an under center quarterback, and we still have a long way to go, the early litmus test, the small sample size from these 3 games, is that that's exactly what they're doing. So you can say it's the coach's system, but you got to give Caleb credit for buying into that system. And then the final touchdown of the game here on Sunday against Dallas, Eberflus goes into a 3-man pressure, drops everyone into zone coverage. Caleb Williams steps up, avoids the pressure, rolls out to the right. It brings the defenders at him, and that opens up DJ Moore wide open for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That's Caleb Williams making that play happen with his ability to get outside the pocket. So to anyone that says, oh, well, DJ Moore's wide open all because of Ben Johnson. No, DJ Moore's wide open because Caleb Williams broke the defense down in a zone coverage. So they can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, the proof's in the tape.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's so funny because Eberflus had said previously leading up to that game, like, hey, I know the personnel, I know this team, I know what they like to do. I'm going to have a little bit of an advantage. But what it turned out to be is Caleb Williams had more of an advantage because he knew what Eberflus was going to try to do in that situation, and he knew how to attack it, and he knew how to get DJ Moore wide open. So it was honestly the apprentice becoming, not that he was the apprentice and Matt Eberflus was anything but a master during his time in Chicago. But Caleb Williams went out there and completely exposed him and kind of pantsed him in a way in that instance. And as great as it was sitting there watching that from a Chicago Bears perspective, I did start him in my fantasy league. And speaking of fantasy leagues, why win your fantasy league when you can go out and rule it? So many times you go out there and you win a fantasy league and you get like a lame little plastic trophy. You get a GG in the group chat. Well, guess what? That ain't it. We're talking about crowned champs. We're talking about custom rings, robes, scepters, and beautiful, beautiful championship crowns. It is so easy to get started with Crown Champs. Go to crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Log on for just $2.99 per person per month. You can go out there, be a part of the community. You can win challenges, become king or queen trash talker, and unlock your opportunity to win the merch. Or you can just go out and buy it and use the code SICK podcast Let them know that we sent you. You will get 15% off your order. Listen, you can sit there and be one of these lame leagues that doesn't celebrate greatness, or you could go out there and rule your league like a champion. Go to crownchampscompany.com and get your merch today. And also want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Huel. Dude, I talk about this all the time. Listen, I'm on the go. I'm sitting here. Listen, I get done with NFL Fantasy Live on Wednesdays right around 11:30. Now I could go out to lunch, or I could grab a bottle of Huel, go to the driving range, work on my stuff, and still have plenty of time to go pick up my kids after school. Huel is the perfect replacement meal. You go out there. What are these bottles right here? 400 calories, 35 grams of protein. How do you think? Listen, you think I don't go to the gym? I look this slender because I drink the best protein meal replacement shake out there. They also have powders. I always got this rolling around with me too. Check this out. Looks sick. I'll take that with me to class tonight. Have it all dialed up. And if you go to Huel.com/sickbears, you can use our code sickbears and get 15% off your order. If you're one of those people who buys your protein powder at Costco or something like that, stop doing that. Go out there and go to Huel.com/sickbears. All right. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me there. I do appreciate it. Caleb Williams threw 4 touchdowns in the game against the Cowboys, which meant free hot dogs for everybody in Chicago. Caleb did address it with the media on Wednesday. Sammy, let's go ahead and listen to that sound.
Go to the hot dog place. I did. Yeah, he did. He had a blast. Megan, she works for me. She brought him, and he had a blast, and he had a hot dog. I heard. It's not typically in his diet, but I don't think he had ketchup on it. But yeah, no, he had a blast. He when he ended up getting home, he ended up going inside his cage on his own and passing out. So he had a blast.
That was Caleb Williams' dog was able to go to the Weiner Circle. Not only did Caleb Williams' dog make an appearance, Greg, you were there. Describe the scene at the Weiner's Circle on Tuesday, because a lot of times, watching games or whatever, I get FOMO. This was one of those moments where I was really bummed that I was not in Chicago. What was the scene like at the Weiner's Circle?
It was a quintessential Chicago moment, right? It's one of those things you almost forget, because Chicago teams struggle so much, and these moments of happiness are so few and far between. But when teams are good in this city, specifically when the Chicago Bears are good in this city, moments like this happen that are just very natural, and the Chicago vibes just come pouring out of everyone. And I saw a lot of comments yesterday from people that were taking in some of the content on social media. Like, look at why are all these people in line for a hot dog? You could go down the street and get a hot dog for $5 and not have to wait an hour in line. That's not you're missing the point. The reason people are out there is to share in their excitement for a Bears win and their love for the Chicago Bears. That's why they're there. And you could just feel those vibes as soon as you walked up, the line stretching all the way around the block. People are chanting, thank you, Caleb. And, there's people up front chanting, let's go Bears. And, obviously the fine workers at Weiner Circle are certainly a lot of fun and bring the energy as well. So, it was just an all around Chicago day, and you just got to take those moments in. And, shout out to the Weiner Circle, shout out to Caleb Williams, the offensive line, and everybody that had a hand in this, because this city needs those kind of vibes, and I'm all for that. If I was still bricklaying, I would have taken the day off just to go up there and take in that moment, because it's just, that's what, as a fan, that's what you live for, is that kind of energy. And so hopefully we have more of those moments around the corner.
Yeah, there was a couple of tweets that I saw, and there was people that I follow who are Bears fans who were making those comments about, like, it's just a hot dog. And I'm like, it is anything but just a hot dog. It is, it's one of those things like when there's championship parades or anything like that, and people are like, I'll just watch it at home. Like, no, no. The whole reason you root for a sports team is for moments like this. And I even saw some of the fans of other teams like, this was your Super Bowl. Like, who cares? Okay, fine. Like, whatever. It was it was our Super Bowl. What the thing of it is, I don't see like a lot of other fans. I don't see this happening a lot of other places. I don't know what would be the cultural equivalent in Wisconsin. I don't know if it's someplace that like Hickory Farms or whatever. I don't know. Going out there and doing promotions like it wasn't even a promotion. It was a tweet. It was some smart aleck in the social media department who said 4 touchdowns. Should have said 5, but I think 4 was the perfect number because Caleb went out there and got that number. I would love to see somebody else in the, around the NFL try to do this. Where's Chick-fil-A? Where is somebody else? Like, where is Whataburger? Where's In-N-Out? Like nothing. Like this is what sets Chicago apart is that it was such a big deal. And for anybody who's unaware, I'm preaching to the choir now because everybody knows the Weiner Circle. Like it is not a chain. It's not like there's 30 of them. It's not like they have some in Arizona. This is one place. This is one place, and they went out there and did. I think Philadelphia would be the only other city that would be able to pull off something like this, which I just love. I loved everything about that, and I'm so glad that they did it. So I'm glad that you were out there. I was like, that was one of those things that I wish I could have gone out. Like if I would have had more lead time, I would have tried to fly out there. All right, let's go through some of these comments because we see the great fans sitting here leaving some great questions and comments. We're going to start with James Dixon. And he says, this is who Caleb has always been. He was trying too much in chaos, taking on an identity of Ben. Things are a lot easier to learn when everything isn't bad. I would agree with that assessment. I think that this is what we should see moving forward. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm having.
Are you okay? Are you freezing? He's freezing again. All right, listen, as he works through his computer issues, I agree with that. Like with everything, I think part of it too was the lack of leadership last season. And that played a lot into everything that was going on. Not only was Shane Waldron not doing a great job as the offensive coordinator, Caleb was kind of lost in the process, and it's very difficult to play quarterback on the NFL level when things are not going well. So that is one of the things that Ben Johnson has brought, and that's stability, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry about this. I have no idea what's going on with my computer. I'm going to smash it here in a minute, but yes, it's night and day from Shane Waldron to Ben Johnson, if that's what you're still on here, because Shane Waldron didn't script the first 15 plays of the game for the first 5 weeks of the season. The Bears currently have more points in the first quarter than they had in all of last year in all their first quarters in 17 games. They've scored on 2 of their first drives of the season. They didn't score on any first drive of any game last year. So there's just so much evidence already of this team being more prepared than they ever were in any game last year, and I think that's just really encouraging for Bears fans.
I love it. Kyle weighs in. Caleb really seems to switch his focus to football first, on and off the field. No bad decisions like some young players make. No high profile relationships, just football. I like it. I still think Caleb's the same guy. I still think that he's a lot of fun. He's very entertaining, great energy. This is actually the kind of player that we saw when he was at USC as well. Like he had this high profile apartment, and he was just this dude. And I think that it's a nice change. And I do think that Ben Johnson has brought a bigger focus to football. Do you think there's been a switch though, Greg, or do you think that this has just been the guy that he's always been?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of I think last year was a welcome to the big leagues moment for Caleb. I think he is an introvert. I think he has this booming personality, and I think he likes to put himself in, situations like he'll go to the Met Gala, or he'll be in, somewhere overseas at something that like most players don't do that kind of stuff, and he's been doing that for a while. But at the same time, how many commercials have you seen him in? Not many, right?
Yeah,
But I think the switch has come with the way he carries himself as a pro. I think that is where the switch is. And I think last year the bullets were flying pretty fast, and there was a welcome to the big leagues moment. You had coaches in there. I mean, think about it. Last year he was voted a captain on the team, and there was 8 captains on the team, and they are so mad at this coaching staff. And you've got a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams walking into this, and everyone's pointing fingers at each other. Matt Eberflus becomes the first head coach ever fired in the middle of the season for the Bears. Shane Waldron gets, and you're, taking on a lot of that responsibility. You're sitting there and wearing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And now you got players, and everybody's kind of looking at each other about who's doing their job right. And so I think Ben Johnson hit a big reset button for this organization and these players. And I think Caleb Williams has bought in to those things. And Ben talked about him having better mannerisms through failures, that was one of his bigger criticisms after watching the tape from last year. And so I think those are the little things that I think that Caleb has flipped the switch on and is trying to, put himself out there to the team that he's going to be a better leader and not just, lead by what you are in title as quarterback, but lead by example through your work habits and your attitude.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think I've seen that switch. I know I get the point that he was making too, where like last year he was caught in that bar doing the Green Bay sucks thing. Haven't seen as much of that this year. So that is a good point. And we have seen some growth from Caleb in that respect. Scottish Bear is weighing in. Will Poles make a move before the trade deadline? That's an interesting question, because I think pass rusher would be something, but at the same point, like, I don't know, do we give up a lot of draft capital to try to make a move, or do you think that we just hold steady with what we have right now and we make some other tweaks in the offseason in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I know talking with Shane Marshaw, I know they're coming up here in a little bit on TTNL. He wants Poles to go get a running back. I know he was talking about doing the research this week on some of the running backs I think he wants to bring in. Pass rusher, there's still guys out there, right?
Yeah.
The pass rusher from Minnesota last year, isn't he still on the market?
Yeah. I think he's waiting. He's waiting to see if there's going to be a big injury, if somebody's going to need something, what team he can join in the second half of the year and make a difference. And you know what, though? That's another thing too, is if the Bears do start winning and start stacking wins, players like that would be more likely to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go bleep with Chicago and go sign with them.
Yeah. And also, how are the people ahead of on the depth chart looking in terms of my opportunity to get real playing time? And I've done my best to be fair to Dio Odangbo. And through training camp, I didn't see very much at camp. He wasn't flashing, quote unquote, but I also wasn't going very hard on him in our post-practice breakdowns, because I do think the trenches can be hard to identify at camp because you can't tackle the quarterback. That being said, you didn't see him flashing very much at camp. So then the season starts and you want to see how he does. In that first game, he came out like his hair was on fire. But since those first couple quarters against Minnesota, we haven't seen much since. Again, small sample size. I'm willing to give him more time. They just signed him to a big contract. But at the same time, from what I'm seeing when I watch him rush the passer, it's not very good. And I hate saying that because I want him to be great. But, man, that spin move he does, he needs to put that in his back pocket. He needs to put that in the closet and not bring it back out. It's a bad suit. Like he's doing this spin move, and he's not Dwight Freeney in it. He's getting sat down, and so I don't. Again, as somebody that doesn't like to pile on a player too quickly, like let's give him an opportunity to show what he's capable of. I just think this pass rush definitely could use an upgrade, and maybe some of these guys that are still on the free agent market will identify this team like, hey, I can come in here and make some noise and get some reps here pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Ron's talking about the Bears running game. He says the running game is not good. Do you think the Bears will sign a free agent running back? Did they bring in Jamal Williams at one point during the offseason? We're just kind of like, whatever. I still think they really like DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai.
You still got Britton Brown on the practice squad. I know it sounds silly, but dude ran hard. I'd like to see Monungai get the ball more. I was talking about this on our afternoon show on CHGO Bears. And maybe I'm just ahead of my skis on Kyle Monungai's ability, and I'm not trying to overstate his ability by saying what I'm about to say, and that is I just think that Monungai and Swift's roles are reversed right now. Swift should be the change of pace back. I think Monungai should be the guy that gets those early carries and really wears that defensive line down, and then you hit them with you smash, then you dash. Like right now we're doing dash, then smash. For whatever reason, I feel like it should be the other way around. And you saw when Kyle Monungai came in there, he leveled Kenny Clark, and Kenny Clark had to come out of the game. So I just think let's see how that looks first, because DeAndre Swift had a big play on a screen pass on a third down. He ended up getting only 3 points out of the drive, but he's got explosiveness that Ben Johnson can use. But back when the Lions were the 11th best team in rushing 3 years ago, when it was DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, it was Jamal Williams that was the bell cow, and then DeAndre Swift was the change of pace. So let's try that with Kyle Monungai. That's my solution. But yeah, Jamal Williams and guys are still out there. There's nothing wrong with more depth, but I don't think anybody on the street is going to really have a significant upgrade. I just think they need to figure out their roles better with the guys they have.
Yeah, I would say give it a little bit of time. Love Bears All is asking, when do you think we see Roschon Johnson? Do you think he could do better than Swift? Like that's, if Roschon Johnson was worthy of carries or touches or anything like that, he would be getting them at this point. So I think a lot of that is up to Roschon Johnson. When's he going to be available? Because at some point you got to look at the situation and say, look, if he was that good, he would be getting playing time. I don't think it's disciplinary. I think it's indicative of where he is as a player, unless you saw something different, Greg.
No, I mean, that's really all we have to go off of. I mean, he missed significant amount of time, and training camp included. He's now active and not getting carries. So, he's had his opportunities the last few years, but hey, you never know, man. If he gets an opportunity in one of these upcoming games, the most physical practice they had in training camp, the one that everyone went crazy for, it was Roschon Johnson that actually set the tone of their goal line series that they ran at camp when they were, it was like the hardest hitting practice that the beat writers have seen in 15 years. They ran 2 or 3 times Roschon Johnson at the goal line, and Roschon punched it in. And this was after a practice, 2 days prior, where things didn't look very pretty. And so I think it was the Bears trying to respond like, hey, we're coming in with a different attitude today. And it was Roschon Johnson that set the tone on that attitude. So maybe Roschon will get an opportunity, and if he does, he's got to take advantage of it.
No, I think it's completely up to him. When he's ready to go, he will be the one that determines when he gets out onto the field. Darth Maul says, I think Poles is trading DJ Moore. That's why he's not smiling, celebrating. I think that DJ Moore is who he is, and he's not, going to be one of these players like Chad Johnson who overly celebrates or anything like that. I just think that that's part of his personality. I love what they have with some of the new guys coming in, but I don't think that it's worth trading somebody like DJ Moore. Why not have more talent instead of less? I don't want to be in a situation when the injuries pile up and being like, we're a DJ Moore away from winning. I believe that DJ Moore is going to end up staying with the Chicago Bears.
Well, everyone was trying to trade Cole Kmet this summer too, and he had a touchdown on Sunday, and Colson Loveland came out with an injury. So to your point, you could try to trade away these guys that you think are excess talent. now that you have younger guys behind them and you're ready to replace them. But you're right. When those guys come out, who do you have then? Where is your depth? And at tight end, they had it. And that there's no drop off because Colston had to come out. He didn't practice today. We'll see how things go forward for Sunday. But thank God you still have Cole Kmet. Thank God that Ryan Poles didn't listen to Bears Twitter and traded him in June, because right now then we'd be down to Durham Smythe to be tight end here coming up on Sunday. So you trade DJ Moore. I understand the logic of it. I've said since camp that Rome Odunze was easily going to take over this wide receiver one role. You could see it from day one at camp on how Caleb Williams is constantly looking his way, and DJ Moore's targets kind of are few and far between, not because he's not a good player, just because there's so many mouths to feed. And Caleb seems to have better chemistry and connections with Rome Odunze, with Olamide Zaccheaus, with even Colston Loveland at times, just from the reps that I saw and the amount of times where he's getting the ball out of his hands and finding those guys targets. And you're seeing it already in the season. I think Ben Johnson acknowledges those things. So he's been manufacturing reps and getting the ball in DJ Moore's hands in a myriad of ways, whether it's a screen pass to the outside or it's putting him in the backfield as a running back. And I don't know if that's exactly what DJ Moore signed up for. So I can totally come around to the logic of, hey, maybe his value does end up becoming a team that's in a playoff race. And if the Bears, let's hope not, but let's just play this hypothetical scenario out for the fans. If you get to the halfway point of the season and you've strung together losses and you're not in the playoff picture, you could have an opportunity to send him to another team that is wide receiver needy, that where DJ Moore's full, abilities could be used. I with you, Rank, I don't subscribe to that. Let's keep the talent on this team because everybody sustains injuries. The Bears know that more than anybody right now. But I also am not going to dismiss the logic behind it. I just don't think we're there yet, just like we're not there yet with Cole Kmet.
Yeah, Motor City Michael even said, can we just be happy with our grade 4 receivers? Don't trade, just be glad that we've got some depth. Again, there's no reason. And this is one of the reasons why this team went out there and signed DJ Moore to a long-term deal. I think that, Poles knew what he was doing when he was drafting and acquiring all this talent, because he's like, well, he probably figured there is going to be a time where DJ's not getting the targets that he was accustomed to during this time with Justin Fields, going back to his time in Carolina. So how you alleviate that is pay them, because they don't mind. I mean, they still want the ball, but it's a lot easier to digest when you're still getting paid like an elite level number one wide receiver, whether you're getting the ball or not. I want to go back to Love Bears All. And he said before the season, we talked about the mismatch Kmet and Loveland create in 12 personnel. Why do you think our tight ends have not been utilized much? I will say, I'll take this first. Number one, Colson Loveland got hurt during that game. We don't know what the game plan was. And again, we're 3 games into an install. And I think that the first order of business was making sure that Rome Odunze was getting established as our number one wide receiver before we really started getting creative. And I hope, once Colson Loveland, if he's able to play more, and don't overreact to guys not practicing on Wednesday. If he doesn't practice on Friday, we have cause for concern. But at the same time, I think we will see the mismatch. We got to roll it out. We're not going to play. We're not going to drop all of our cards at once. We need to slow play things a little bit. Yeah, Greg?
Well, I think you were starting to see an emphasis of getting the tight end the ball to start the game on Sunday. Colson Loveland, I think, had 6 targets, something like that. They were starting to feed him the football, and then he got hurt. Cole Kmet gets a touchdown. So you started to see it on Sunday where Ben Johnson said it was on him to get the tight ends more involved. But I also think if you watch the tape and see what they're doing from a formation standpoint, they are having a lot of 12 personnel. They have had Cole Kmet and Colson Loveland out there at the same time, and they have them blocking quite a bit. I think this has been a big year for both guys from a blocking standpoint. Cole Kmet at times is being asked to block, the other team's best edge defender, and has done a pretty good job. So I think that's kind of where they're at right now, as they're still trying to get Braxton Jones up to speed. Braxton certainly answered the bell in a big way against Dallas. But I think for those first couple games, I think Ben Johnson was trying to maximize his protections and making sure you got 12 tight end personnel or 12-man personnel, 2 tight ends, but let's make sure we're keeping this quarterback clean so he can go through his progressions, go through his reads, make sure his feet are where they need to be and deliver the football.
Yeah, it's one of the things don't expect to see it all at once. We'll get there, and it'll be something that we draw upon moving forward. Kyle asks or says, what about safety? If Kyler is back yet, always easy to get safeties from bad teams before the trade deadline. It would be great to have Kyler Gordon out there. And, we were sort of teased with it. He posted something before where it felt like he was getting close. Didn't quite work out, but we get Kyler Gordon back, start getting some of these guys healthy. I think the Bears secondary improves a lot.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, he had a Instagram story today. It's still up, where he put loading. There's like a little loading symbol with him, at Soldier Field. So he didn't practice today. So we'll see how the injury report progresses. I think the smart money would bet that he would have him and TJ Edwards would have one more game off with the bye week coming after. So now you get an extra couple more weeks to get these guys fully healed. And I think maybe even if Kyler and TJ were close enough to try it, I think they might be a little gun shy after what happened with Jalen Johnson and TJ Edwards when they tried to bring them back in Detroit, and they both came out with the same injuries for the most part and left the game after trying to bring them back quick. So these games are all important, but as we learned with Jalen Johnson, you try to push it a little too fast, you might lose guys for longer than you want.
Yeah, it's a big game this week out in Las Vegas. It'll be a 3:25 local start in Chicago. For those of you who are not going to be there in Las Vegas in person, like Greg Braggs is going to be, where are you going to watch the game or the games this weekend? Might I recommend Twisted Shamrock, the place to be if you are a true fan of Chicago sports, and that's Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire. You need to make your way to Twisted Shamrock. The place has amazing TVs over in their private party room, over the main bar, or of course, out in the tremendous patio. As long as patio season is continuing to go, Twisted Shamrock is the place to be on game day for Chicago sports. They've got drink specials. They've got great staff. They've got great bartenders, great atmosphere. One of the best places to watch a game. And might I add, the best old-fashioned this side of the Mississippi and the entirety of the Midwest. So if you have nothing to do and you want to go out and hang out with a bunch of great people on Sunday, go to Twisted Shamrock to watch that game. For those of us who are not able to go out there and be in Las Vegas, which Greg and the gang at CHGO will be over the weekend. And I know we say this every week, and I know people don't want to hear this, but this feels like a must-win game. Is it a must-win? I will say this, Greg. You can't win this game. You can't win that game against the Cowboys. Everybody, every hater McHaterson is waiting for the Bears to fail. They want to come out and say that it was a one-week blip, it was going up against Eberflus, it was a mirage. It wasn't truly great. I think this game is this is such an important game for the Bears. They got to get to the break 2-2. There's no other way you can look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it is a must win, but normally I'd say it's a must win for the reason of looking at the roadmap to 9 wins or the roadmap to 10 wins. I believe this is a must win because you have to build off of the momentum from the response you had against the Dallas Cowboys. And you had a bad taste in your mouth after you got, kicked around by Detroit in their house. Yeah. Ben Johnson's former team, 52 burger hung on you. And you turn around and have 4 touchdowns on offense, 4 interceptions on defense. You come into the locker room chanting good, better, best, never let it rest. well, you can't go back to sleep this week. And the message that Ben Johnson clearly has gotten across to this team, they're buying in. And the way this momentum of a full buy-in where a culture really starts to cultivate is by taking this and start stacking this momentum. And so you have an opportunity this Sunday against a winnable team, and it's going to be in front of a crowd that's going to be very Bears friendly. So I think they have an opportunity here to really start to get some momentum on this culture that Ben Johnson's building, not just for this season, but for years to come. And it's going to be a long road, and however it goes, doesn't determine, your whole career. But I do think that this is a big opportunity for Ben Johnson to really carry on the message that he had from last week. I think that's bigger than the roadmap to 9 wins at this point.
Yeah, this is such a huge opportunity. They cannot let this slip. They cannot let what happened Sunday go by the wayside. It would be the equivalent of having an awesome drive and then chili dipping your approach shot or hosel rocketing your approach shot. You can't do that. The Bears need to go out there, land this one on the green, go take it to the Raiders. It's not going to be an easy game. It's not like the Raiders are a pushover. I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe that the Bears have the talent to win this game, should win this game. And I want everybody out there being ready to go and having a great time and all that good stuff. I will tell people probably not going to make it out there. Our friend Carrie didn't show up with the super chats. Listen, if I was.
Oh, you're going to blame Carrie. Wow.
He didn't show up. He didn't show up. Can't do it. But here's the thing. If I was going Saturday night, Golden Gate Hotel and Casino, right down there on Fremont Street, they have a thing called The Night Starts Here, 6 p.m. Saturday night, open bar. Now you got to sign up for the Players Club and go through all that stuff, but still, you get to join the Players Club. You get free slot play, and you get an open bar. It is an incredible promotion over at the Golden Gate. Hope everybody will go there and enjoy the evening. And if I am in Las Vegas, you will be able to find me there 6 p.m. on Saturday if I make it out there. I got games to coach. But in any event, Greg, thank you so much for being here. We know you're taking off here on Friday morning to get out there. It's going to be a great time. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to a great game, and hope you enjoy everything.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's going to be a fun weekend. I'll be at Circa Stadium Swim Friday night, and that's a Circa event. It's not a CHGO event. Anybody can come, and if you're wearing Bears gear, the word on the street, if you're wearing Bears gear, you get into the Circa Stadium Swim for free. So come on by, and we'll have a drink and have some fun, get the weekend kicked off the right way.
All right, so enjoy your time. We'll be back Friday for the game preview, and then we'll be back after the game on Sunday to talk about a Bears victory as we head into the bye week. So until that time, for Greg, I'm Adam. Bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcast. Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois.